This is part 11 of my crafting series, and I want to talk about fracturing in PoE and why fractured bases are very important for crafting, and probably your build is going to use mostly fractured items. If you see at this string right here, this yellow text, it's called fractured. It's called fracture. You cannot change this. You cannot make it 44 intelligence or 50 intelligence. You cannot get rid of it unless you use a Val Orb and you destroy the item. But basically, this mod, it's locked in place. This is what it means to have a fracture on it. The only thing that you cannot do to a fractured item, you cannot add an influence to it. You cannot give hunter modifiers, shaper modifiers. You cannot do that, and also you cannot give it the synthesis implicits. Uh, but most of the time, the items worth about 10, 20, 60 divines are going to be crafted with fractures because the game is in such a good state right now, and almost everybody is going to use Eldritch implicits. And what I mean by Eldritch implicits, uh, this line of text that you see here, while a unique enemy is in your presence, those are all Eldritch implicits, and almost every build is going to use them. Not all the builds, but almost every build is going to benefit from using them. So this is why fractures are in such a good state right now in PoE. Um, One of the advantages of fractures, it's going to be to using double essence modifiers. Normally, when you use an essence, let's show you. Uh, let's show you the ring, maybe. So if I want to craft an opal ring similar to this without a fracture, it would be impossible because, first of all, to obtain this damage over time multiplier, I would have to use an essence modifier, a delirium essence like this. Let's just say that we have an empty, all the suffixes are empty except for the damage over time multiplier. And to not remove this modifier, I would have to craft suffixes cannot be changed. And now let's just say that I want to use another essence. In my case, it's going to be crafted with essence of hatred. You can see that it does not let me select one because you cannot use essences, and also you cannot use fossils with meta modifiers like this. It says here cannot be used on an item that has a meta mod. Um, cannot be used on an item that has a meta mod. So it's impossible to get a ring like this without a fracture. But if the item is fractured, if this right here is um, fractured, now I can freely use an essence. So now my item has two essence modifiers. So this is one of the advantages of using fractures. Another advantage would be some modifiers, like for example on my wand right here, are just simply too hard to obtain. +1 to level of all spell skill gems is just simply too hard to obtain. And on top of that, to have um, increased spell damage and the +1 to level of all spell skill gems, it's also very difficult to obtain. But let's just say that we go to a wand. 100 weapons, wand, and we have this prefix of +1 to level of all spell skill gems. If this is fractured, um, right now all I need to do is just spam deafening essence of woe, and if I do this about 100 times, maybe 200 times, look, I just got it. I just got it. So this is how easy it is to get a wand with +2 and increased spell damage. But this is only possible because this modifier right here that is super hard to get is fractured and it cannot be changed. At this point, what can I do? I would go to the crafting bench. Prefixes cannot be changed. Then I would use an orb of scouring. Prefixes cannot be changed. I would use an H-Link Veil like this. Probably craft this modifier to increase my chance of unveiling cold damage over time multiplier. I didn't get it at this point. I got it on the second try. Now I could craft cold damage, increased cold damage, and then use an exalt. And that's how simple this crafting process is. And it's only doable because of the fracture. So it's very important that um, the the fractured that you abuse crafting with fracture items, especially because of the eldritch implicits. As I said before, most builds are going to use eldritch implicits, so they don't care about influences like this, for example, Crusader Hunter. To add a Crusader influence, for example, I would have to use Crusader's Exalted Orb or Hunter Exalted Orb, but as you can see right here, it doesn't let me, even if it cannot be applied on a fractured item. The same goes for synthesis implicits, cannot be used with influenced, and also cannot be used with fractures. To get a fractured item, you go to the trade site and search here. You press this character above tab, type FRA, and then type whatever fracture you want to level of all spell skill gems. And here on the left it needs to say fractured, and when you search like this the item will be fractured with whatever modifier you choose. um, if you want to fracture an item, if for example that item does not exist, like in my case my ring did not exist, so I had to make them myself. I would just buy the basic opal ring, use essence of delirium until I hit 15% damage over time multiplier, and have 4 modifiers, because let's just restart. So there's an item here called fracturing orb. Usually it's around 5 divines. Fracturing orb, and what this does, um, from a pool of at least 4 modifiers, it fractures 1 modifier. So you have at least you have at most 25% chance. If you have 6 modifiers, your chance is going to be lesser, um, but at most you will have 25% chance. So if you have 4 modifiers, there's a chance when you use a fracturing orb to fracture the desired mode. This is how you fracture an item that does not exist on the market, and you need it for yourself. Anyway, that was about fractures. Once again, it's in a very good state. It's in a very good state right now in PoE because almost every build is abusing the Eldritch implicits. They are super good, and this is why fractures are very useful for crafting, at least at this point of the game.